Whether you have a hard rebuild team, an elite value team, a wide receiver factory team, these are going to be trade targets for every single type of dynasty team. We're going to give you 2 trade targets per team archetype, which are found in our team blueprints, and we're going to be telling you, based on which type of team you have, who you should be going and trading for in your dynasty fantasy football leagues. If you play dynasty, make sure you drop a like, make sure you're subscribed, because we are dynasty nuts. Let's go to dual elite QB and elite quarterback tight end for 1 QB leagues here. We'll start with some trade targets for these guys. I'll give you DJ Moore as a trade target for a dual elite QB build. Obviously, with a dual elite QB, this is going to be more of a contending build, but DJ Moore is somebody that's going to have some insulated value, actually. We all know that DJ Moore signed a big contract with the Bears, and going through the first part of the season, a lot of people were looking at 10 points, 11 points, 15 points, and they were concerned about DJ Moore. What has gotten better with DJ Moore, as we've seen the last couple of weeks, is although he didn't produce against Jacksonville, he did against Carolina, and Caleb Williams has gotten significantly better. He's looked significantly better, in my opinion, making DJ Moore a little bit more of a short-term option for your dynasty team, for contending teams that are dual elite QB that are contending, as well as maybe a 1-year rebuild for dual elite QB teams. DJ Moore, again, has the contract insulation that's going to prop up his value in dynasty fantasy football for the next couple years, and he is the wide receiver 23. Even with the dud game, even with the bye week, he is still a wide receiver 2 in fantasy football, with not everybody having their bye weeks yet. That's significant. So he's somebody that's going to produce for your team. But again, like I said, in dynasty in particular, he's going to maintain his value. Right now, he's the wide receiver 21 on Keep Trade Cut. He's going to be put somewhere in the 5th round in terms of where he'd be going in a startup draft right now. And this is very conservative with his value. I could see DJ Moore hovering in the 5th, 6th round in dynasty startup drafts for the next, honestly, for the next 4 years. So, like, legit, he is still only 27 years old, and he is going to maintain his value well. So I'm high on buying DJ Moore for that type of team. The next type of player that we're going to go buy is a productive running back, but this productive running back actually has a fair amount of contract insulation. That's David Montgomery, who's been on an absolute tear this season. He's the running back 13. A lot of people are going to say that you should be selling high on David Montgomery in Dynasty, and to be honest with you, that's a lazy take. David Montgomery is a running back that is significantly discounted because he is playing with another good running back in that offense. Jahmyr Gibbs carries the elite dynasty value. David Montgomery can outscore Jahmyr Gibbs at times, and you get him at half the price, right? He's the running back 13. He's being projected as like a 7th round dynasty startup pick right now, and I think honestly he could maintain 7th to 10th round dynasty startup pick value for the next 3 years while his contract goes. They just extended him. I think he's under contract through like 2027 or 2028 now. So with that being said, I think David Montgomery is somebody you can buy. He can be a productive running back for your team. You want to buy into these running backs on good offenses. David Montgomery fits that bill. He's got the contract insulation now. So for a dual elite QB or an elite QB tight end team, I think he's a good trade option. I do think that he is going to be somebody who returns on value well for your dynasty teams over the next couple of years.
Yep. And then moving over to hard rebuilds, this is a tough one. A lot of people are starting to be faced with the fact that they're going to be in a multi-year rebuild for the foreseeable future. And there are definitely some really, really solid guys that you can target in this range that a lot of other league mates are not going to be as interested in because they're not offering immediate production and they're not offering production anytime soon, really. And that is general rule of thumb as a hard rebuild. Target players that have value upside that aren't playing right now because they're injured. That's going to be one of the best things that you can do. Rashee Rice is one of the best injured targets that you can go and get as a hard rebuild at the moment at a discount because you know he's going to go back up in value in the next 9 months. So with Rashee, it's very, very simple with him. He's tied to Patrick Mahomes. He was producing as a top 4 to 6 wide receiver when he was healthy before Mahomes tackled him into oblivion. And that's going to continue, honestly, I believe, when he comes back healthy. He's not a guy that's going to be super dependent on, I don't think he's going to lose like explosiveness because of this tear. It was really, really fluky. They actually didn't even know if he tore it or not. It took a while for them to figure it out. I think he's going to be okay. And Michael Penix as well is a great target for hard rebuilds. When you're looking at Michael Penix, his outlook this year, not positive. His outlook next year, not positive. His outlook in 2026, oh boy, is he going to shoot up rankings. He is made for that offense. I do have to give the Falcons a little bit of respect as much as we trash him for making the pick, and it wasn't a great idea. He is going to fit perfectly into that offense once he's starting. Once Kirk Cousins shows any sign of decline, Penix is going to be in there. he's going to be in there and he's going to get opportunity. This is very similar to a Jordan Love type situation, but Penix is not going to lose as much value because he's not going to be on the bench as long as Jordan Love was, because Kirk Cousins ain't going to put up 2 back-to-back MVP seasons. I know that for a fact. So really, these two types of guys, keep an eye on them, especially Rashee Rice and Penix. You're going to see them, very, very common assets that we're telling hard rebuilds to target in our team blueprints. And if you want one of those team blueprints, you can head over to flockfantasy.com, use code domain, and you can get 30% off of any blueprint purchases after the fact. You also get a free blueprint when you sign up for the annual Motherflocker tier. So we do so many of these team blueprints. We give you personalized feedback on your team, what you should be doing now, in a year, and 2 years from now, your 3-year outlook, your team archetype. All of this is applicable. The targets that you should be going out and getting, the players that you should be moving, expanded suggestions and comments as well. Like, this is the most in-depth advice that we can give you as supporters of Dynasty Domain, and we love doing it. We do so many of them right now, and they are flooding in at the moment because so many people are trying to figure out what to do with their teams, teams that are hard rebuilds, teams that are contending. What moves should they do to get a leg up on their league mates and ensure that they're going to get a championship this year? It really is our bread and butter as a channel. So,
all right, let's give you some targets for your wide receiver factory teams. A lot of you have wide receiver factory teams out there on your team blueprints because you have stacked up at the right position, at a position that's very value insulated in wide receiver. And so here are some guys you should be buying if you have a ton of wide receivers. A lot of times what we see is wide receiver factories have below average running back room. So here are some running backs you should target. We'll start with Josh Jacobs. If you'll remember, we were not high on Josh Jacobs for dynasty purposes in the offseason. The reason was he jumped all the way up to running back 10, and basically his contract is a multi-year, 1-year deal. We talked about this a lot. You're probably very well versed in this if you watched over the summer. Since then, he has gone from being the running back 10 to like the running back 16 or 17 in Dynasty, which is a much more reasonable price. One of the big developments in Green Bay that we kind of saw preseason and put him on our preseason risers video for us was that Marshawn Lloyd was basically being publicly outed by Matt LaFleur as somebody who wasn't ready to play. And you've basically seen Marshawn Lloyd have no impact to Josh Jacobs' production. When you're looking at his advanced analytics so far this year, he is second in the league in carries. He's 12th in red zone touches. Even though he's 12th in red zone touches, he only has 1 rushing touchdown on the year. He did get his first receiving touchdown of his career, which is obviously a big dynasty development, right? But he's 12th in yards per out run among running backs. And so like he's productive there as well. 5th in yards created. He's a guy that I think we're a little bit higher on, like I said, because situationally it looks a little bit better. That Packers offense looks like the offense is going to be a little bit better for the next couple of years. So we're just a little bit more comfortable buying into Josh Jacobs, somebody who right now is ranked as the running back 16 and the 80th overall player on keep trade cut. So that means you're going to be putting him in like the 7th, 8th, 9th round range, depending on who you're drafting with. And so this is a much more palatable price for Josh Jacobs. And I do think his touchdown frequency is going to increase as the season goes on. He's a good target for your wide receiver factory teams that are contending this year, especially. And then this one's definitely a contending target, and it's going to be Alvin Kamara. With Kamara, obviously, you've seen what he's done this year. What Kamara has been proving to us, what Derrick Henry has been proving to us, is that the running back age cliff that we're all terrified of, it does not apply to all running backs, especially in the age now where you have guys who are splitting backfields. One type of running back that gets a lot of targets may last longer than a guy who's getting a ton of bruiser touches. But in the case of both Derrick Henry and Kamara, they're two completely different running backs, two completely different roles, and they both have been lasting beyond the age cliff. And so Kamara went up in value as the season started. He came in as the running back 27, jumped all the way up to the running back 12. Now he's the running back 18. And this is kind of a happy medium between where he was, where he ended up being, and now he's kind of falling back down. And I think while you can, I think Alvin Kamara is a pretty good target, particularly because you can trade Isaiah Pacheco for him, Brian Robinson for him, Bucky Irving for him, and Tank Bigsby for him. And so there are a lot of value adjacent running backs next to him where you can just pivot off of those guys who have a value for the future, and you can get somebody who's going to help you win now and potentially next year and the year after that. So Alvin Kamara, I'm not going to be sending my first for him probably, but he is somebody that if I have any of these young running backs that a lot of people are propping up in dynasty rankings right now, I will be willing to send one of those younger running backs away to get Alvin Kamara on my team.
And then well-rounded is going to be the next archetype that we talk about here. These are generally the teams that have mediocre to above average value on their team, and they really are making a contending push this year. A lot of times you're going to see these teams without their 25 first at least, and they have a lot of productive assets now. So when you're one of those teams, you have to ensure that you're going to be a top 3 team at least, and you want to be going and making a push to win your league. So the top two guys that you can get here, the first one's going to be George Kittle. If you don't already have an elite tight end, you're either going to pay up for George Kittle if you're fading tight ends so that you can boost your production upside, or if you own a guy like Laporta, you're going to down tier from Laporta and go get George Kittle plus, because you're getting production now and you're getting some help on top at whatever other position you want to target. George Kittle is one of the best well-rounded targets that we're consistently recommending people go get at the moment, and it just has gotten better now because Ayuk is down for the rest of the season and Debo has been hit or miss this year, and Christian McCaffrey, we don't know when he's going to come back. Some would say, oh, well, that hurts Kittle because now he's become the focal point for defenses to worry about. That is true. Christian McCaffrey is going to come back at the beginning of November. He's expected to, and Debo is struggling with pneumonia right now, which hopefully gets better soon, but again, it's not an injury or anything like that. So Kittle is going to continue to be fine. He's been absolutely dominant. He is the tight end 1 in points per game right now, halfway through the season. The tight end 1 in points per game. 17 points per game. 17. Brock Bowers is absolutely incredible, and honestly, rest of the season, he's probably going to be the tight end 1, but he's not affordable. George Kittle is the next. He is the most affordable, productive, elite producing tight end that you can get at the moment, and there's not many of them. A lot of people are going to want to get George Kittle off their team. Hopefully, you can get a league mate to move George Kittle, and you'll be sitting pretty for the rest of the season, obviously barring injury. Tyreek Hill, very similar situation. Tua is now back healthy. Tyreek is going to be back to his normal self, we expect. And honestly, the best time to target Tyreek Hill would have been when Tua was out. He's probably going to be less affordable at the moment as Tua comes back healthy, but I would keep an eye out on what his price is. He is 30 years old, and that alone is going to be a reason for people to sell him at a discount. The best thing about Tyreek Hill that George Kittle doesn't have going for him from a value perspective in Dynasty is you probably are going to have a decent amount of contending teams that own George Kittle, and they're contending because George Kittle has been so productive. Tyreek Hill, on the other hand, is probably going to be on a lot of teams that are screwed. Absolutely screwed right now, and Tyreek Hill and the Tua injury is a reason for why that's the case. So keep that in mind. You may be able to get Tyreek Hill off of a team that's 3-4 and just kind of wants to fold and reload for the rest of the year. You can get him at a pretty decent price.
Let's go to some targets for 1-year reload teams. These are teams that are just taking this year to reload and then contend against next year. And you're going to want guys that are losing value now or have lost value and then are going to be significantly more valuable in a year. One of those guys could be JJ McCarthy. Now, the thing I'll say about JJ is since he's gotten hurt, he's pretty much maintained his value, like almost exactly. And so it's not necessarily like a super buy low here, but with JJ McCarthy, you're basically just taking the shot that he does become the starting quarterback for the Vikings next year. And when he does, that his value is going to go up. We like buying JJ McCarthy as a rebuild, as a 1-year reload, because again, we do think he's on a positive value trajectory. And so when you have teams that are not focused on contending this year, it's all about focusing on value. And this is a guy that I think is going to go up in value. One guy that will definitely go up in value, who just lost a good quarter of his value already, is going to be Brandon Ayuk. He's hovered for the last year and a half, really, around the wide receiver 11 to 13 range on Keep Trade Cut. He's already down to wide receiver 26. I mean, he's plummeting.
He'll keep falling
to the bottom. But basically, here's the thing. My guess it's week 7 when he tore his ACL. My guess is he's back for week 1 next year. Yep. And so with that, you're discounting him 25-30% because he's missing half of a season. And when you're playing Dynasty in 3-year windows, you're talking about a sixth of that window that he's going to be missing. I'm not super concerned about that. Obviously, the other story here is Ayuk wasn't very good before the injury, but Brandon Ayuk right before the season signed a massive contract. And I think part of the reason Ayuk wasn't good is because he held out in training camp. I honestly think that's part of it. And the 49ers as a whole have looked worse, so you expect next year Christian McCaffrey to be back and that offense to be a little bit more dynamic. Maybe they make a couple changes in some places, but playing alongside Debo, Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, he should get back to where he's producing at least like a top 24 wide receiver level. Obviously didn't happen this year, but he does have contract insulation, he does have value insulation as a wide receiver, a young wide receiver, still only 26 years old, and he's plummeting in value. So if you're a 1-year reload, he's a perfect target. You should go buy and stash Brandon Ayuk on your rosters in Dynasty. It's perfect.
You know what his production reminded me of? The exact same situation, same team, Debo Samuel when he held out for his contract, and then he finally got signed like right before the season started, and then you remember the whole requested a trade and everything, and then he was really mediocre the entire season, and he literally said after that year he was like I just straight up was not focused on football. I was just focused on the contract, and I got it done, which was great, but it ended up at the end of the day not really being worth that much because I didn't even play well.
Right.
So I think you're going to see the same thing apply to Brandon Ayuk. He's going to be a lot better in 2025.
I think so too.
Future value teams, generally a lot of these teams, we're going to tell you target as many rookie picks as you can if you don't already have them. And again, very similar to hard rebuilds, but maybe guys that are going to produce a little sooner than the hard rebuild targets. Very similar again. If you wanted to target Rashee Rice as a future value, go for it. You're probably not contending this year. You may be middle of the pack at best. Again, get as many rookie picks as you possibly can because the more value upside you can accumulate on your team, the better off you're going to be and the closer you're going to be to achieving elite value status, which is everyone's goal, is achieving elite value status so that you can get all of the most productive players in your league to go win your leagues, win championships, and win money, and that's pretty cool. So Jalen Waddle, I think, is another perfect target here for future value teams. He really is one of the ideal guys that I want as like a safe security blanket asset that you know is going to just slowly increase in value every single offseason. Jalen Waddle gains more value in the offseason than he does during the season, almost every single year. That's just kind of the way it is with him because once the season is over, everyone starts looking at age, everyone starts looking at contracts, everyone starts looking at overall situation, and it's just positive for Jalen Waddle in the way that the Dynasty community is going to view his value and his price because Tyreek Hill will be 31 years old. He's going to get older and older, and people are going to get lower and lower on him. That's just the reality of Dynasty Fantasy Football. Once we see 30 years old at the wide receiver position, at the running back position, we freak out and we want to get rid of these guys and move them at a discount, and everyone else behind them goes up. Jalen Waddle's already a talented wide receiver. He's got the contract insulation, getting paid as much as Tyreek Hill is on the same team, and I think you're going to see his value just carry on and slowly increase as we approach 2025 because everybody's going to be predicting that Tyreek Hill fall off.
All right, let's talk about elite value teams now. If you've been lucky enough to get an elite value grade from us on your blueprint, congratulations. You're one of the lucky few. And Puka Nacua is going to be the first guy that we've been telling elite value teams to go get because what an elite value team has is they have so much value that it doesn't really matter what they do. They're going to be contending this year no matter what. And so when you have that, it's basically like, okay, let's buy low on some elite prospects, some elite talents in Dynasty, some elite assets in Dynasty, and let's go get Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua going at a discount right now because of the injury. But again, it's a short-term injury, right? He's dropped all the way to almost the third round on Keep Trade Cut. Wide receiver 11 from the wide receiver 6 almost all offseason. Nothing has changed outside of the fact that he is hurt right now. He is supposed to come back this year. I don't expect him to be totally the same, but you're basically saying if you have an elite value team that you can go make this move. It's not going to hurt your contending prospects, and then he's going to be full strength next year, and your elite value team just got even more elite. That's what you're trying to do is basically maintain that status, and you still play the market a little bit as an elite value. That's how you maintain that status. It's how you maintain that team archetype, and Puka's a good guy to just go ahead and buy right now. In a similar situation, Nico Collins is the other way, right? Nico jumped up as high as wide receiver 7. He's maintained that even since he's gotten hurt. He has lost a little bit of overall value. He still maintains a second-round Dynasty startup pick, but you can down tier to him a little bit easier than you could when he was on the field. Anybody who had Nico Collins when he was playing at the level he was playing was not trading you Nico Collins. Now in Dynasty, you can get Nico because you're going to have some Dynasty teams that are so focused on contending right now and winning the next 2 weeks that they will trade you Nico Collins. So you can down tier to Nico Collins. This is going to be down tiering from guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. to Nico Collins plus, right? This is what I think you should be doing, especially Puka Nacua plus. We've seen that one happen already. When you're having these elite value teams, again, the main thing is going to be to just play, the market in shorter term situations like Nico's and Puka's. Get those elite guys on your team, maintain your status as an elite value team, and continue to contend all at the same time because you are in a position where you are running your league, you're running a league economy, and these are little baby dips you can buy on and still own these incredible assets in Dynasty. So these are two guys I think you should buy on elite value teams.
Yeah, and then closing out with running back heavy, this is one of the more rare archetypes that we see, I think, just with the general Dynasty outlook with running backs. A lot of people fear this build. It is incredibly risky, and we will recommend some wide receiver targets if you are a running back heavy contending team. If you're running back heavy and you're looking at a rebuild, then you're probably going to be a hard rebuild, a 1-year reload at best, and you want to offload those running backs. But again, this is assuming that you're contending as a running back heavy team and looking really, really good, 5-2 at the moment, or 6-1, maybe even undefeated because some of these running backs are being so productive at the moment. But T. Higgins is a great target that's also going to offer a lot of long-term security because he is probably going to not be on the Bugles next year, and he will be trending to be a wide receiver 1 schematically in a different offensive situation, and that's going to, at the very least, maintain his value. Not to mention, he's ultra productive right now as Joe Burrow's second option alongside Jamar Chase. So incredible incredibly safe option that's going to offer plenty of production at the wide receiver position where you probably need a significant amount of help, and is going to be relatively affordable. Deebo Samuel is going to be even more affordable, and his upside is really, really good. He's Deebo Samuel. He's got rushing upside, receiving upside, touchdown upside. When he's on the field, he's amazing. And honestly, he's going to be out, probably for a week because he's sick at the moment with pneumonia, but he's long-term for the rest of the season, he's trending up because Brandon Ayuk is no longer in that offense. And Christian McCaffrey is also going to be back, which is just going to open up the field for Deebo Samuel to do what he does best, and that is produce as a top 10 wide receiver and have that elite weekly upside. So these are two guys that I think are very, very reasonable guys to target if you're a running back heavy team that you can easily get at a solid price that isn't going to totally wash you out of any future value.
So there you go. Those are trade targets for every type of dynasty team. Again, these are broken out by our team archetype, which we've established on our team blueprints through our system with the DVM, all of that. You can get access to all of that. You can get the My Teams. You can get the rankings. You can get the exclusive Discord, all the tools, the coming rookie draft guide at flockfantasy.com/domain. You have to use code domain to unlock the blueprint, but you get a free one with the annual Motherflocker tier. You also get 30% off any blueprint when you have any membership with code domain. That's the best way and the cheapest way to get a blueprint. So we can give you your team archetype and tell you basically what you should be doing in our videos when we talk about our team archetypes. We talk about our 3-year outlooks. You're going to know what you're doing. It's good to have a plan for your dynasty team. So like I said, head over to the site. We'd love to do a blueprint for you. We're doing a lot of them right now. And honestly, this is the best time to get one because you are going to be able to decide which way you should take your dynasty team. So make sure you like and subscribe. We appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you later.